Hello there. How can I help you? Lost, you say? Well, I'd be more than happy to help you. First, though, I need you to do something for me. It's just that I think I've seen you before, so if I could take a closer look. Yes! It worked! It actually worked! Okay, now, don't be scared. I'll explain everything when we get back home. I just need to... Okay, that isn't going to work. I'm going to need to do something else. That's it. I can use a vine to lift you and get you into my cart. Alright, I'll be back. Don't go anywhere. Alright, I've gotten some vines. Just gotta... Alright, good to go. Now then, we need to pull you up. Okay, just one more thing to do. Alright now, I just need to let you down gently. Gently. Ah, there we go. Now then, I can bring you back to my home. Don't worry, the rest of the trip will be much better. In the meantime, why don't you get some sleep? I'll revert you to normal in the morning. Hiya! Good night, my sweet. Ah, disgrace. I need to learn some anti-gravity spells. Oh, hey you. You're finally awake. Welcome to Oak Heart Hollow, the finest homestead in the Northern Expanse. How'd you sleep last night? Wonderful. I always knew that stone site could help people sleep better. I heard something else in some of the more technologically focused nations that even have something similar. I think it's called ASMR or something. I don't know. I just heard about it from some of the visitors from the coast. Never really saw anything myself. Sorry about that, dear. I didn't know how you'd react after getting restored, so I decided to tie you up with some rope while you were petrified. I'll untie you, don't worry. But only after I know you won't just run away again. I don't want you running off again. I seen you rush through the shops and marketplace at Clear Hill like you were running from a bear. You act like someone saying hi to you is an arduous challenge. If I left you untied, then you just run off again. I prefer the term forcibly taken as opposed to kidnapping. But I swear it was just with the best of intentions. I tried to talk to you in the marketplace, but you kept giving me the cold shoulder. And when I sent you letters, you kept sending them back to me. What do you mean you thought I was sending them to the wrong address? Don't you recognize me? It's me, Nelli. Nelli Moon River? Don't you remember? Finding me in the woods, helping me when I was almost dead? Come on, you have to remember that, right? That's right. I'm the Gorgon you saved after I got maimed by that manticore. Gotta admit, for someone who's still learning, you did a fantastic job. I mean, sure, some of my tail noises can scare some of the animals, but that's fine. I've always preferred the standing hunt method. And I'm sure I can find another partner if need be. What do you mean you still don't get why you're here? Isn't it obvious? I love you, silly. You saved my life and made sure I was made whole again. And when I was recovering afterwards, you checked in on me and ensured I was improving. Well, yes, I know that it was just the right thing to do, but you were still so kind and thoughtful. I never had anyone care about me so much, outside of my mother and Elshade. And the more I thought about you, the more you intrigued me. After I finally was better, I tried to find out more about you. Unfortunately, you had left for some kind of meeting with the Prosthetist guild, so all I could do was talk around town. Try to get to know you through the people you met. Which, I have to be honest, you need to branch out more. So many people think you're great and would love to get to know you more, but you always seem so distant to them. Trust me, you really should be a bit braver with some things. Plus, well, I did kind of sort of break into your house. I was getting desperate, okay? And all I did was hire a reformed thief to pick the lock of your house. We locked the door when we were leaving, and I promised I didn't look into anything too personal. I just wanted to know you and, see what your living space was like. See if I could find out anything else about you. Gotta say, though, for a doctor, your home is pretty shabby. Couldn't you get into something more impressive than a remodeled attic? I guess it doesn't matter, though. The point is that we're together, and I'm sure you'll love Oakheart Hollow. When I first came here, Elshade already had some cropland and got a wind turbine and solar panels to help power the place. So we're a bit more independent than most people here in the Empire. I even managed to get some livestock, including honeybees. So I'm working on making a special kind of mead. Well, yes, you'll be staying here. After all, don't people in love want to be close to one another? Besides, I figured that staying in a nice house with a few good acres would be better than some crummy renovated attic. What do you mean you don't love me? I mean, you saved my life, made sure I was taken care of, and came to visit me every day. Wouldn't you do that if you love me? You just were doing what was right? That's it? You didn't have feelings for me? Then I guess I'm just gonna have to wait for you to love me back. Of course I'm not going to give up on you. I love you, I really do. And if it means I have to wait for you to love me back, then so be it. I'd spend an eternity waiting for you if needed. Oh, so you do love me. You were just testing me is all. I gotta be honest, that was very clever, darling. Why don't I just unchain you and... Oh wait, I forgot. I lost the key to the lock I used a while back, and the locksmith got called to the capital since the royal family lost the keys to the summer palace, so I'm afraid you'll have to wait for about half a year or so. Of course I knew you were lying. Darling, did you think I must be stupid because I'm a Sinite? You were counting on it. That kind of stings a bit, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm not giving up. If all the time I've been alone has taught me anything, the harder you have to get something, the better it'll be once you get it. Struggle all you want. All you'll do is tire yourself out. Oh, that reminds me. You must be hungry, right? Yeah, I thought so. Why don't I get you some breakfast and we can continue chatting after this? Great. Got any special requests? I've got everything here. Coming right up. Be back in a jiff. Oh, nothing, dear. I just saw a giant spider. Yellow widow, to be precise. Guess it must have taken up residency in the house during the winter. Don't worry, I'm fine. I just tend to get freaked out by spiders sometimes. Besides, yellow widows can be pretty poisonous. Here we are. Breakfast is served. Thanks. I made all of it myself. You'd be surprised what you can learn to do when you're on a homestead. Now, since you are all chained up, I'll have to feed you now. Let me know what you want to try first and when you want to drink. Very well then. Open wide. How is it? I knew you'd like it. See, I can be a good partner if you give me the chance. What did I mean by all the time I've been alone? It's a long story, and I doubt you'd want to hear about it. Alright, if you really want to know, I'll tell you. I suppose it begins with my mother. She was a healer for the Kelzas, one of the smaller barbarian clans in the northern expanse. She had always wanted to have children, but, well, she didn't want to get married. Oh no, it's not that she's against love or anything, it's just that, well, ever since she was a kid, she's mentioned she's never had an interest in anyone. And even when she tried courting a few people, she never really got past the first meeting or two. Same thing goes for sleeping around. She doesn't think it's evil for anything, but she's just really disgusted at the idea of sleeping with someone personally, to the point she couldn't even try to do it just to get pregnant. So she decided to have me via birth clone. Oh no, I don't mean that she went to a cloning facility to get herself cloned. That'd be insanely hard and expensive. No, I just mean that she was able to make herself pregnant when she had me. Yes, Sinites can do that. So can all Gorgons and many animals. Didn't you learn this in one of your biology classes? No. What schools did you go to? You know what, never mind. We can discuss that later. I should continue with the story. Anyway, while Gorgons can clone themselves, it's not the most popular thing. Without a father, Gorgons can't inherit any new genetic traits that might be useful. So the fatherless can be looked down upon. And well, turns out the Kelza are pretty hardline about the idea. Mom got a lot of bull because of her choice. Even when she tried to explain she didn't want to take someone as her husband just to have a daughter, and a lot of the other Gorgons didn't want anything to do with me. It got to the point when I was about 7 or so, Mom decided to up and leave Kelza. Sure, it was for the best, but it still hurt at the time. Even if most of Kelza were bitches to us, they were still our clan. And they had the only people I knew to be friends at the time. After that, we stayed alone for a bit. Mom got a lovely cottage by the Silver Falls, and she even taught me how to hunt and survive in the wild. Sadly, there weren't many people close to us, and after what happened with Kelza, Mom wasn't too trusting of others. Don't get me wrong, Mom tried her best, and I did meet a few people I could call casual friends. It's just hard to connect with others when you're one of the Imperium's freaks. When I got old enough to leave home, I decided to head out and find my place in the world. And, well, turns out it was kind of hard, at least for me. Having been the unwanted member of the Kelza and not being around many people outside it growing up made socializing more difficult for me, which led to me having an even harder time connecting with or meeting new people. Thankfully, I can be quite stubborn, as you can tell now, and I was able to find some places that would take me in. Well, first there was Shaolin, a city that Alfgard established as a colony. They needed some guards, and as a Snite, I could be an excellent fit. So even though the Ulfur of the city weren't the keenest on having a Gorgon around, they gave me a chance. Things were good for a while, pay was good, work was pretty minor, and even most of the Eldorf's justiciars were a bit more friendly than most. Yeah, who would have thought for once that high elves got off their high horse? Oh, come on. The Eldaf are asking to be called that all the time. You and I both know they'd let an orphanage burn if it didn't have a single child of a supreme oath for blood in it. Anyways, things started to go downhill when we heard rumors about terrorists trying to plant a bomb on one of the Alfguardian ships. Some guards and I all went to investigate. Wanting to impress everyone, I rushed in, using my powers to petrify anyone I could find. And, well, turns out there were no terrorists. Some people protested peacefully, and the terrorist thing was a misconception. Plus, I accidentally ended up petrifying some of my fellow guards. Look, I was reckless, okay? I didn't mean to hurt anyone like that, and the healers ensured no one was chipped, cracked, or broken before they were reformed. Still, because of that, the Justiciars decided that it wouldn't be too wise, and I wasn't really too trustworthy, since it seemed like I was itching for a fight. And they asked me to leave with pay. Personally, I think a part of it was just because some of the Alfguardian nationalists just wanted an excuse to have us snipe out of the city. But I understand and left. Honestly, I never felt like people tried to get to know me for me. Maybe people were friendly or fair, but that didn't mean they accepted me there. After that, I headed to Erewhon. Figured that maybe I could use some of my knowledge as a guard to find work in one of their armed forces. Even settled on the Navy. Eventually, since that kingdom is so proud and assured of it, it didn't work out either. Erewhon is strict about who can join their army. Even with my experience, many of the Erewhon recruiters didn't think a delicate snake woman wouldn't fare too well in the military, let alone the Navy. Even when I said I grew up in a warrior culture, they seemed more on edge than impressed. As I had just grown a second head or something. In any case, I figured out soon enough that I'd have to jump through too many hoops with them and took my business elsewhere. It probably was for the best. Erewhon's got some big problems with most non-humans, so I doubt I connect with anyone there. After that, I tried to go for a merchant position. I had thought about becoming a merchant after retiring from being a guard or soldier, and while I hadn't gotten the years I wanted, I felt that an early retirement might be best, especially since I could still do some hunting. Maybe I could take up work as a professional hunter, or at least use it to get some extra money or save me the trouble of getting some more expensive food from the markets. When I heard about how Clear Hill was being built due to the diamond mines that were discovered recently, I thought about coming there, but decided to try and get an apprenticeship at Voldor instead. There were a good amount of Nidalveskoye in it, so I figured that... Wait, you don't know about Vugdor? The Undercity of the White Mines? You know, the Undercity that has found practically the biggest motherlode of platinum in centuries? That's disappointing. Are you going to tell me next that they like to be called dwarves or something? I can tell you they don't take as much offense as little people being called midgets, but it's still pretty rude. I guess we'll have to help you brush up on your geography and cities sometime soon. It might serve you well in the future. After all, you'd be surprised how many accidents can happen in the other city. As for me, I went to Vugdor hoping I could find myself an apprenticeship as a merchant. If things worked out great, I would have finally found my place. If not, well, I could always use the economic lessons to sell the games I hunted. How'd that go? Well, I got the basics of selling stuff down well, but didn't do so well with more advanced economic stuff. It's just, I have a trouble with math. Like, even when Mom and I were in the tribe, I always had difficulty counting things. Like, a bunch of kids could see about 5 or 6 stones altogether, know how much they were, and I'd have trouble figuring that out. The others used that to make fun of me. Said it's what I get for being fatherless. But anyway, after some failed tests, my teacher suggested I should just learn the basics of running a shop. and become a carrier hunter, which I have. After that, I moved out of Vugdor and went out into the frontier regions of the Empire, hoping that I could find a community out here. And well, things haven't been the easiest, for reasons as you can probably tell. I mean, some people are nicer than others, but not many people seem to want to be around a Gorgon. For a long time, it was practically like how it was with the Kelza. Huh? What's my story about being here? Well, after leaving the Undercity, I started to camp close to the Clear Hill. Found a good place to hunt and decided that since things seemed to be fine that way, I might as well become a professional hunter here. As I said, some folks around here weren't too keen on doing business with us tonight. But I managed to get some coin. At least enough to travel south if things were going too rough during the winter. Of course, things changed when I met Elshade. He was a former sea merchant who had to leave after a sea drake attack. Lost an arm and a leg. You know, looking back, maybe he was one of your customers. I guess we can look into it. Anyway, one day he came up to my stall and mentioned how he noticed how often I did the hunting. But all I had was a tent and a campfire. So he gave me a deal. If I did some hunting for him and helped to stock up for the winter, he'd teach me how to take care of Oakheart Hollow. Even let me have it after the winter. He was planning to leave for the capital come spring, wanted to be closer to family and all that, but couldn't find anyone to buy or care for Oakheart. So if I helped him, he'd give it to me. Why did he need me? One reason was that he was getting too old to care for the Hollow himself. And since so many of his family were close to the capital, they couldn't care for it themselves. Whether they wanted to or not, so he had been looking for a successor of sorts. Someone to look after the Hollow when he finally left, and not to let it rot away or let someone else turn into something it wasn't. The winter was one of the best of my life. Maybe because of Elshade. He's the closest thing to a father I've ever had. And he still keeps in contact with me, but as I said, he wanted to leave and be with his family. He still visits me sometimes, and I wanted to go and visit him, but it's not the same as seeing him all the time, you know? But yeah, shortly after he left, I lived around here, just hunting and caring for the Hollow, but not getting to know anyone else in Clear Hill. As I said, Gorgons aren't trusted or accepted around these parts. Not gonna lie, even with Elshade's company, it got very lonely sometimes. And unlike Mom, I wanted to meet someone special, but I didn't think it'd happen. At least that was until that drake hunt. I'd been tracking her down for a while, with her starting to pick off my sheep and all, but I underestimated how aggressive she'd be. And even after managing to wound her, she got me pretty bad. Okay, I get it. Losing my arm and tail and being a chest with a head is more than pretty bad. Point is, even with how awful that was, it let me meet you. After all, if you hadn't been searching for herbs to act as anesthetics, you wouldn't have found me, and then I wouldn't have met you after you worked on me. Yes, I know you were helping just to do the right thing, but that's how I came to know you. You saved my life. In those recovery periods, I realized I loved you. I truly did. And I couldn't bear being away from you anymore. But I also knew there was a chance you'd reject me too. And after all those years of always being rejected, I couldn't let it happen with you as well. Yes, I brought you here, but that was to show you how much I cared. And to show you how Oakheart Hollow could be a much better home than your old shop. Seriously, have you noticed the size difference? A homestead must be better than the hovel of an apartment above your shop. Your business will be fine. You just tell people I'm your new apprentice while you work. I need to learn more about how to take care of my prosthetics anyway. Might as well help you gain some more coins simultaneously. Besides, I've got plenty of things here at Oakheart Hollow that could take care of us if money gets tight. The whole place is meant to be self-sufficient. I just sell my wares for the Imperium's tax and to get the occasional luxury. Oh, that reminds me. I must stock up on some wild game. I'm pretty close to running out of everything. I'm gonna have to leave you for a bit. Don't worry, I'll be back before lunch. I can get a few birds and maybe some squirrels before I return. Once I make you some more meals, or you get a bit more used to your new living situation, then I'll start hunting some of the bigger game. Trust me, you'll love what I can do with the wild boar or venison. All right, I'm heading off now. But first, a little kiss for good luck. Goodbye, my dear. See you soon.